Hey, welcome back to Milton Daily Homes. Chuck here, and hope you had a great time at the Super Bowl. If you did watch it, it was quite an interesting game, especially with that blackout. We're back though. We're back on Monday. Show must go on. I'm a little stuffy, but that's okay because we're going to keep moving. 21 listings in all. The first one is 1487 Maple, number 204, and so it's just a one-bedroom. It's got a decent-looking kitchen. I like the lighter cabinets, and it looks like they've done a bit of upgrading in the bathroom. So they might be able to do it. I mean, normally it seems like the range for these ones are between the 230 and 240 range for the one-bedrooms, but this one looks good, and it's on the second floor. It's in a good spot. 383 Main, unit 627 is 289. And if you look at something like this, the condo fees are a lot lower because it's a Green Life building. They've got solar panels, they've got geothermal heating. There's no shots inside, but you can even type in, if you type in Green Life Lime, you should be able to find the floor plans. It's at 855 square feet. Looks like it's got the granite countertop and potentially some laminate floors and living dining, plus the master has broadloom, 9-foot ceilings. Very popular building. I think good potential resale value there, and obviously those low condo fees, nobody's going to argue with that. So McJanet is at 314.8. We've got a bunch of these village townhouses that have just listed. This one on McJanet is 1051 square feet. It's an Ashfield or Cherry Hill model, and that's basically your main floor. You've got a living, dining, plus a kitchen with a breakfast bar. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs. One is pretty big, so that's probably the master right there, and then there's a smaller one that you could fit a queen-size bed, but not much else in. I think these ones have really started to dig their heels in. They're starting to come back up a little bit, which is good news for the owners of them. And we will see that model again too. So this one on Ferguson is a little interesting because it's 314.9, basically the same price range. However, it has about a $50 a month fee for garbage and for snow removal. So it's a private street, and so there's a little bit of an extra cost there. So essentially it's a freehold home, but it has shared common elements. And so if you look at this one here on the main floor, there's a little bit of a sitting area. Upstairs, this is one of the only ones that has an eating area in the kitchen. There's another Mattamy Village townhouse that has it as well. Very busy backsplash, but it could look good. I have a feeling it's probably looking good in person, and overall I would say this one's good value for the size of it. It's still 2 bedrooms, and so you can get something without that ugly little $50 fee, but I don't know if it's going to be the same size. Challenor, so we're talking about a street in a location that's really close to the proposed Wilfrid Laurier University on the other side of Tremaine. So the nice thing about this one is that it could be a potential property that you could rent out in the future. Now there's no photos here, but what it does look like it has, which is good, because same model, Ashfield Cherry Hill, 1051 square feet. This one has hardwood floors, California shutters. So for the difference between the 314 and the 319, this one may actually win out by having some of those upgrades there too. Now Finney Terrace is 319.9. And surprisingly, it's the 3rd version of this model, and you can see there's your living room, and there's your dining room, and then you've got your kitchen here, and then you've got your now empty space. Finney Terrace, that is actually, I believe, protected green space right in front of Finney. You've got the train tracks just over to the side. You can barely see it with the sloping berm up, but that, I believe, is where the gas line goes underneath the ground, and so that's their upgrade here. So you can find, do you want the hardwood and the finishes and the upgrades, or do you want something where maybe you have a little bit more privacy when you overlook your balcony? I think that's an important thing. We're going to see another model in these homes where you actually front onto 2-story homes, which makes it a little less ominous versus the 3-story and 3-story on both sides. This one on Faro is 1195 square feet. It's a current model. I don't know if they need to tweak their colors on their camera, but pink carpet just does not sell homes. It's not helping them at all. That's for sure. And the model itself I really like. It's got a little nook upstairs. It's got 2 full bathrooms. So even if we look at how that could potentially be for future rentals, you could now have 2 people each with their own bathrooms, or even roommates. If you lived in it and had a roommate there that had their own bathroom, I think that's a much more compelling value proposition for many people who are looking for a room to rent. Now Sprague, so we're looking basically closer to Thompson and Hepburn, $349. 2-car parking in the driveway. You have it's an end unit. It's 1297 square feet, hardwood floors, and it looks quite nice. This one does have the eat-in in the kitchen, and it's also got what looks like an extended pantry over here. And then it all looks good. It looks like it's got a nice space arrangement. This one here has the 2 bedrooms upstairs, which are much more spacious than the 3-bedroom, which is really, really tight. $349, I've seen it justified somewhat historically, but I think they're a little bit high on this one, unless it really looks a lot better in person. Unit 203 at the Green Life building at 383 Main, $349.9, 2-bedroom, 2-washroom. And so most of the 2 bedrooms that we've seen sell up to this point have been hovering in the lower 3s. But the thing about this one is that if you were to look at most any other 2-bedroom condo in town, I would say in the newer variety, less than 10 years old, or even in Mississauga or anything like that, you're looking at condo fees that are probably $300–400. So this is $100 a month. So even if it's a little bit high per square foot, the thing you have to recognize is the carrying cost on something like this is probably like buying a condo under $300,000 with normal condo fees, which is perfectly in line with value. So it's looking good. There's 2 parking spaces, which is a very desirable thing, especially with the 2-bedroom. Wilmot is $379. I don't believe it fronts onto Thompson, or now it may front onto Derry at this address. I'd have to check that. It doesn't look like there's any shots of the front there, but there is a possibility that this one could face onto Derry Road. April 15th is the closing. When we look at a closing like that, we know that there's an important date for the sellers of this home. So as a buyer, if you were to give them that opportunity to sell on that day, there may be a little bit of a win-win relationship with the price negotiation. So it's got a finished basement. A lot of the homes today have a finished basement, but they're not showing them. They're not actually displaying the finished. This one on Mowat Lane, front back house, so you can see the 4-story building behind. You've got Main Street behind, and the last model that sold that was around this size, I'm not even sure if it had a finished basement, but it sold right around the 380 something mark. So I mean, these guys have the value. I can't stand the location because of Main Street, but I like the location in the sense that you can walk to the GO train, the Superstore, Starbucks, the rec center, the library, all that kind of stuff is very close to this home. But I really think backing onto Main is a tough thing. Wind Trail is $409, and it's a townhouse. Interesting comparison, this one versus the next one too. It's a Hillsview end, 1510 square feet. Nice finishes and upgrades. I think very modern design, clean lines, nice decluttered furniture. This one's going to do great, I think, at $409.8, especially compared to what else is out there and what else is sold. Van Fleet. So this one is a semi-detached now, and even though it's an end unit townhouse, the previous one, this is a semi. It always will be a semi. Functionally, they're very similar, but this one retains that category of semi. And it's like 16 something square feet, very similar floor plan, and it may not have the upgrades. However, what it does have is it backs onto green space. So this one gets a slight edge in my mind because you can always put those finishes in, but you can't change the location. Not that there's anything wrong with the previous one, but being a semi, you can't change that. You can't change where this one is. I think the intrinsic value is a little bit higher in a property like this. McTrack is $419. It's a 1,500 square foot home with a finished basement. I'd like to see a little bit more hardwood, a little bit more upgrading in this one for this kind of money with a finished basement. But I remember probably 6-7 months ago, last year, is that some of these models were starting to hit 410, 412 with the finished basement. So I don't know if it could be that they catch the market on an upcycle as we head into the spring. But I don't know if it screams super deal. Bustle Crescent is 509.9. We got a 4-bedroom here. That paint color is probably not helping them. Neither is that backsplash. And yeah, it's just okay. I could see this one, I believe, has been for sale before. And people need to get away from this irregular lot stuff. I don't understand. It's not a good thing to say, is that a lot is irregular. Think about if your friend was irregular. How does that sound to you? What is that? What kind of vision does that describe in your head? McNiven is 539. It's basically a 2-acre property, and the home itself about 2,400 square feet. And you've got some nice country living here. You've got an in-ground pool. I mean, this home is really a 750 home by the time you've got all the work to be done there. And so you always want to check and make sure that you're not too close to anything in the country. We look at some of the factors that affect properties in this zone is quarry activity. Like, is there any planned quarries? We look at the escarpment, right? Is there anything sort of infringing on it from the perspective of regulations? Because the escarpment commission is actually even higher than the municipality, in the sense that when you go to do something and plan an addition or a change in your structure, you've got to let them know first, and they're really the judge, jury, and executioner on that. So yeah, I think that this one has some value for sure. Bonnet Crescent is 579. Now, I don't know the size of this one, but what I do know is the last 2 homes that have sold on this street, on this side of the street, very close to these guys, have sold with finished basements and relatively good-looking homes, and they were both under 550. So at 579, and these guys don't even have a finished basement. I think unless there's something that I'm not seeing here and not having photos, it's going to be a tough game for them. McFerrin is 615. And so we're talking about a wood lily corner, over 2,600 square feet. Lovely upgrades, lovely finishes. Didn't try to over-design this one. I think they've done a good job. Hardwood on both floors. Now, one of the things we've talked about in past episodes of Daily Homes is that first floor hardwood gets a big return. Second floor, not so much. Probably half the benefit of the cost that you pay, just because not everybody likes hardwood, not everyone sees the value, not everyone's going to pay for that upgrade, although the people that do really do like it. So you can find sometimes that it does really accelerate the process. 615, these guys are basically going head to head with the one on Yates, very similar model. And Cousins Terrace is a little bit bigger, 2,700 or so square feet, 679. It does have a finished basement, not shown in this set of photos, but it's in the virtual tour. And nice finishes, very solid upgrades. I like the photography. 679 is pretty high because the basic version of this model is 100,000 less. And so you look and you say, okay, is it worth 100,000 for some of the finishes and upgrades and so on in this home? Now, the neat thing about that model, just to go back to it, is that there's this area upstairs. It's like a little communal area where you could have video games or kids' homework, and it's a little gathering space on the second floor. It's very interesting, and you've got the balcony there too. So Scott Boulevard, 699, 3,500 square feet. This is going to attract attention because there are people that don't care where the house is, but they want as much space for the price. And so really, I don't know if there's a bigger home for much less than this one here. There was over on Ellington, but I think that they've done a decent job with the finishes. I think they priced it well. I think a lot of people that have a 3,500 square foot home feel the need to be above that at 7. I think they're in a good price range with the number starting with a 6. And Purdy is the last one at 1.175. About 2 acres. It's the second home in off of Guelph Line, And the thing with these homes you have to be careful of is that they do get to that point where they start to need work with the windows and roof and all the rest of it. It was for sale last year. It looks like a very good home. That's probably the separate suite, which could be a nanny suite, or I don't even know if there's a possibility of renting that out, but it's got its own entrance and door and so on, and it's grade level too. So the home itself is like 6,000 square feet. On paper, it definitely makes sense around this price, and it really comes down to how it shows. And the thing about the $1 million buyer, from my experience, the wrong paint color, one room that's a little too small can throw the whole thing off. So as you start going higher in the price range, you start to see more particular tendencies of people, and the game really of win or lose becomes a lot smaller. So if you have any questions, give us a call. We are doing tours every day this week, and you can sign up just over there, or you can come meet me at Starbucks and just talk about your plans, really get some questions answered. We do not bite. We're here to really assist you, keep you safe through the process. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.